didn't want to become a videographer. Photography fit next to my full-time job. Video didn't. And that's honestly why I avoided videography for years. Not because I didn't respect it, more because I respected it enough to know what it costs. Time, energy, and a whole different skill set. But in 2022, I went to the Ukraine to document how an organization was helping, and I realized I didn't have the skills to tell the story the way it deserved to be told. I'm Timothy. I'm a filmmaker and videographer based in Germany, and I focus on documentary-style storytelling. Real people, real moments. And just so we're clear, I'm still learning. I'm still building, and I'm far from where I want to be. This isn't a look how I made it video. It's the honest story of how I went from photography to videography, what pushed me into it, and what I've learned along the way. I started as a photographer, and at that time, photography fit perfectly into my life because I could do it next to a full-time job. Now, I'm not saying photography is easy. Depending on the job, photography can be intense. Weddings, commercial campaigns, heavy retouching. That's real work. But the photography I was doing back then was more contained. I could show up, capture what was needed, do my select, deliver, and it was manageable. Video didn't feel manageable. Video felt like this endless chain. Planning, audio, lighting, shooting for the edit, backing up, organizing, editing, revisions, and the edit alone can swallow days. So even though I respected video, I didn't want to step into it. In 2019, I started helping an organization called Awakening Europe with photography. They're a Christian movement that runs large gatherings and citywide outreaches across Europe, focused on evangelism, discipleship, and training. For me, that means documenting real moments in high-energy environments. Crowds, stage lighting, fast-paced, emotional stories, and was real-world training because there are no second takes. Then 2022 happened. Ben Fitzgerald, who leads Awakening Europe, took me to the Ukraine to document how they were helping. And there's a detail here that matters. Ben asked me to make a video, and outwardly I just said yes. But internally I remember thinking, why are you asking me? I'm not a videographer. Obviously I didn't say that out loud, I just thought it. Because in my mind, I was there to take photos. That's what I do, that's what I'm good at. But being there and trying to do it triggered something in me. Not because photography isn't powerful, but in the Ukraine, I felt the limits of what I could deliver with the skills I had at the time. I couldn't capture the full weight of the moment. You can't hear someone's voice shake in a photo. You can't feel the silence in a room. You can't carry the atmosphere, the movement, the before and the after. And I remember having this uncomfortable thought. This story matters and I'm not equipped to tell it the way it deserves. I came home with a mix of gratitude and frustration. Gratitude that I could document anything at all, and frustration that I didn't yet have the tools to do it properly. And that's where the shift happened. Not because I suddenly wanted the title videographer, but because I didn't want to be limited when stories carry weight. I wanted to be able to tell stories in motion, with sound, with pacing, with context, and so I started learning. One of the biggest things that helped me was joining AOD, Art of Documentary. I started with a course on how to edit a documentary, and then I did a few more courses from them over time. At the same time, I did what basically everyone does, YouTube University. I learned from creators who break things down step by step, and I read books because I wanted the deeper stuff. Story, pacing, character, structure, the parts of filmmaking that don't change when the gear changes. But honestly, the biggest teacher was practice. I used whatever environments I had access to. Events, outreaches, real life situations where I could film, try things and build sequences. Not perfect projects, just reps. And then it turned into project after project. I helped with the live album recording, I helped film online courses, I filmed physio sessions, I worked with the local soccer club, I worked on testimonies with documentary ideas. And here's the part I want to say out loud, because it's way more normal than people admit. Most of those projects aren't released. Some aren't finished, and a few are just failed projects. Not because the stories aren't worth it, but because I was learning. Sometimes I didn't have the skills yet, sometimes I underestimated the edit, sometimes I didn't plan enough, sometimes life happened. And as painful as it is, those failed projects taught me as much as the ones that worked. By 2024, it reached a point where I had to choose. The work was growing, and video doesn't just ask for your weekends. It asks for your brain or week. And I realized, if I want to do this properly, if I want to tell stories with the care they deserve, I have to give it real time. Going full-time was scary. It still is sometimes. And even now, I'm still learning. I'm proud of how far I've come, but I'm far from where I want to be. I can see the level of storytelling I'm aiming for in my head, and I'm still building the skills to consistently deliver that. But I'm committed to the craft, and I'm committed to authenticity, work that feels real. So if you're a photographer thinking about video, especially if you're doing it next to a job, here's what I'd tell you. Start small, but start consistently. Learn audio early because it changes everything. Shoot sequences, not just shots. Think beginning, middle, end. Edit for emotion, not perfection. And respect the time it takes because video is layers. And don't feel guilty if it takes longer than you expected. That's normal. Me personally, I'm still learning to understand what requires how much time and how to plan for that properly. So yeah, this wasn't a quiet shift. Photography fit next to my full-time job, and video didn't. Ukraine was the moment I realized I wasn't equipped yet, and it forced me to grow. and I'm still on the way, still learning, still chasing the level of storytelling I have in my head. If you're into documentary style filmmaking and honest creative business building, consider subscribing. And if you're in that photography to video transition right now, let me know in the comments where you're at. See you in the next one. Bye.